Well, let's also welcome in the conversation Mr. Surjit Bhalla, who's an eminent economist, author, and columnist. Sir, thank you very much. Great to have you join us in this discussion, in this debate. So, yes, I mean, right now our tally is talking about around 305 plus 307 as per the latest leads. And the discussion that we were just having before you joined in was that, do you expect any significant change in the policy tilt if this number indeed stabilizes at around 300 as opposed to 350, 360? Your thoughts?
No, I don't think if this is the end result, and it looks like it's converging to somewhat 300 to 320 or 290 to 320 for the NDA. I don't expect changes in existing policies, but some of them, which I just wrote about, for example, the attitude or the policy towards foreign direct investment, etc. So those policies should change and probably will change. So it's a fantastic check and balance that what we are seeing operating here. My own forecast, as written in the book, how we vote, was for a much larger mandate to the NDA and to the BJP. So I think, you know, it's democracy back in action. So whenever you have close, if you will, races, it is the policy that you will get will be less extreme and more balanced. None of the existing policies, I think, in terms of the economic policies, are likely to change. Some of the political policies might change.
Shereen has more political updates. Shereen?
No, I actually wanted a quick question in with Surjit Bhalla because, you know, I moderated the launch of Citizen Raj, which was the book that he previously wrote. I missed this one. So, Mr. Bhalla, thanks so much for joining us here. You know, my loss entirely for missing out on the launch of this one. But I just wanted to understand from you, what do you make of what we're seeing play out in UP, what we're seeing play out in West Bengal? Because it's contrary to what the polls were predicting, and it's also contrary to what your own expectations were.
Yeah, so UP, West Bengal, and you missed out on Rajasthan. So there are 3 states that are going completely contrary to the exit polls. So I think one of the talking points after the election is over is that there was first a massive convergence in the exit polls. And normally when you have a massive convergence in the exit polls, you don't get them wrong. So this is the case where the whole class failed. And the only other time that I remember, and at that time I was on the right side of the coin, was a Bihar election in 2015, when the whole class was saying that Lalu would lose, and he came back with a resounding victory. So, you know, these checks and balances are fantastic, both for democracy and for policy, because I think now there will be a greater coherence in the policy on the economic side. And, you know, on Latha's question, I think, look, I don't think the fiscal deficit is in threat. In other words, or the reaction of the government. The government is not, in my opinion, not going to go out and spend more. I think what Mr. Modi has shown is a strict adherence to fiscal deficit, actually much more than I have advocated and liked. So I think that one is fairly stable and not where I would expect any changes, if you will, towards a more expansionary fiscal policy.
So Bhalla, just to give credit where it's due, there was one poll which gave 281 to the NDA, and that was the Dainik Bhaskar exit poll. So to be fair to them, there was, at the moment they are the ones who are perhaps a little closer, but we could never, you can't tell. At the moment it still looks like the NDA is not 281. But their range was, I think, 281 to 330 or something. So they are perhaps well within the range compared to the other pollsters.
You know, the so-called Satta market, follow the I remember Thursday evening, this is last week, Thursday evening, their number was 303 for the NDA. For the That was for the BJP.
Okay.
303
for the BJP. Yeah. BJP is now not 250.
Yeah, for the BJP. So, I mean, actually, so this is a very different kind of...
Satta market and the exit polls have both got it wrong
on the opposite
point in time.
Absolutely.
Mr. Garg, okay. Well, Mr. Garg, just wanted to finally ask you if the tally remains around the current levels, as Mr. Bhalla says, and something I'm really happy about. It's good that democracy is reasserting itself. You have a stable government, but a government which genuinely feels that it is answerable because it has lost about 50 seats compared to its previous tally. How do you think things can change in terms of the way the policies could go from in the first 125 days?
And if I could just add to Latha's question, exactly was coming to that point, because Mr. Garg, you started by saying that if the NDA decides to read and interpret this result in a way that it needs to do more at the bottom of the pyramid, then just tell us, I mean, and you've been in the hot seat, been there, done that, what tweaks would you expect, if at all, on policies which are more rural facing, beyond a lot of the flagship schemes like, Har Ghar Nal and Ayushman Bharat, etc. What else would you expect this government to do?
And by the way, before you respond to that, Dr. Bhalla was also, he also used to be a money manager. I don't know if you still do that, Dr. Bhalla, but go on, sorry.
No, Mr. Garg.
I left that about a decade ago.
Just coming to you, Mr. Bhalla. Mr. Garg, what should we expect by way of policy?
I think one very critical and crucial factor is how much BJP ends with.
Okay.
Don't read NDA number as a very stable mandate for the BJP government led by Prime Minister Modi. If that is below 250, then you have a very great destabilizing factor as far as NDA is concerned. And if that government gets formed with NDA, let's say about 300, and with BJP at 240, 250, that would have a very, very different sort of complexion of policy. Then you can't assume continuation of term 2 policies, which to my mind are not very much economically sound. We can debate that. The big plank of the government in phase 2 or term 2 was non-economic issues. You go to Ram Mandir, you go to Kashmir, you go to polarization and many of those things, and found out the opposition by using or misusing EDs and others. So if this mandate comes, I don't think the NDA allies would go with that policies to continue, those 3 kind of things. And that may bring a lot of friction and instability. So I think it's too early to wait for how do they redefine their economic policies and their beneficiary policies. I don't think it's the time for making guesses on that. Let's wait.
Sure. No, I agree with you, Mr. Garg. I think that's a very valid point that you make. And let me take that point across. In fact, you preempted the question that I wanted to put to Surjit Bhalla. Mr. Bhalla, if you look at the screen at this point in time, it's 303 for the NDA, down 50 versus 2019, and 218 for the India Alliance, up 100 for the India Alliance, going by the leads so far. But the BJP at this point is at 246, Mr. Bhalla. As Mr. Garg was pointing out, I mean, yes, NDA 300, 310, whatever the number eventually may be. But BJP, anything less than 272, how does it change the dynamics?
Well, okay, there's a political dynamic and there's an economic dynamic. So here I am afraid I have a divergence of opinion with Mr. Garg. I think economic policies, if anything, would be better if these numbers pan out. They won't be worse. For example, as I just wrote on foreign investment, etc., that they will be concerned with more growth rather than less growth, with more investment rather than less investment. So on economic side, I'm very comfortable with this kind of a scenario panning out. with the BJP getting maybe 250, 260. I think what Mr. Garg pointed out correctly, it's on the political side that you will expect changes, or one should expect changes. And that the political side will move more towards the center rather than to the edges. And so I think in that sense, it's a win-win situation. On economics, I feel very comfortable stating that I don't expect any negative changes on economic policy. And that's not to say I don't expect any zero change. I do think that there have been some negative economic policies. We had the famous credit card thing that they came up with, which nobody could have imagined. And thankfully, it didn't get passed. So I think, this may be a very, very positive scenario opening up both on politics, that it will be moving towards the center, on economics, that it will be more responsible policy.
Right. So just again, recapping the numbers, it's 302 for the NDA, 245 for the BJP, 218 for the India Alliance, and 92 for the Congress. Back to the crucial states of West Bengal, 28, that's the lead coming in now for TMC. In Maharashtra, the India Alliance leading in 26 and the NDA in 21. If you look at the state of Haryana now, the India Alliance leading in 6, the BJP in 4. UP, the NDA at 40, leading in 40. So that's the picture playing out there as far as those crucial battleground states are concerned. 246 for the BJP at this point in time. Interesting internals. Could we see an upset in Thiruvananthapuram? At this point in time, it looks like Shashi Tharoor is trailing by about 5,000 votes. He's up against Rajiv Chandrasekhar. So could we see an upset there? Smriti Irani also continues to trail in Amethi. That's the Kerala picture playing out for you. Prashant, Latha, back to you.
Okay.
All right.
So here we are at the moment 304 for the NDA out of 543. But of course, still counting. We just want to remind viewers that you are tuned in to our election exchange, which is being sponsored, of course, by HDFC Sky as well. Let me get to Mr. Bhalla again. Mr. Bhalla, you began by saying that the credit card scheme, foreign credit card expenses and capping that was a nasty jar that came from the government. Anything else you see changing?
No, I think on foreign investment, it's down, and a lot of people have commented on it. And we try to look at as to why it is down. And it is likely to be because of the bilateral treaty imposition. So I think that is something that I would very much expect to change. So that's another, if you will, a negative policy that can move in the positive realm. On the subsidies, etc., I don't see too much change in there. And as far as I mentioned earlier, in terms of the fiscal deficit, I think the government will continue to be fiscally responsible. So, as I said, basically on the political side is moving more towards the center, and on the economic side is moving towards more responsible policy.
Right. Mr. Bhalla, I want to come back to the political aspects and the political dynamics now. And if these numbers play out the way that they are looking at this point in time, then let's talk about the possible kingmakers as well and the leaders who could enjoy leverage. Nitish Kumar delivering for the alliance in a way, I suppose, in Bihar, the NDA alliance with leads in 33. And if you take a look at the TDP's performance in Andhra Pradesh, Chandrababu Naidu is back and is back with a bang. Surjit Bhalla, if the BJP's tally is lower than 272, the possibility of others playing kingmaker, what do you make of that?
No, I think it'll be more cooperative. So, if it is less than 272, the BJP on its own obviously doesn't have a majority, and it'll be more of an alliance. And in that sense, you will get the, if you will, inputs from outside of the BJP, and that cannot be bad, if you will, in any organization, etc. There are advantages to having one party in a dominant state, and you can get several bits of reforms happening, which we saw happen over the last decade. And there are some failings that can happen when you have one dominant party.
Yep.
And that's what we have talked about.
Okay.
So, I honestly don't see much change in economic policy and a more cooperative political policy. Now, here I will disagree, and obviously that's how horse races happen, and that's how politics happen.
Yeah.
On Kashmir, I think, Mr. Garg was pointing out that was a disaster. I happen to think Kashmir is a huge success in terms of the political policy, which could not have been made if it was an alliance situation throughout. So,
that point is taken, sir. No, that point is taken. I think the more broader issue that you point out, I don't know if it'll be cooperation, because the BJP had 303 in the outgoing Lok Sabha, and the TDP had 4. The Janata Dal had about 16. Now it's, TDP probably coming back with, 20 seats and the BJP going down to 250.
Yeah.
The tussle between a 303 is to 4 and a 250 is to 20 will be a little different. So chances are the states get a better look in.
Yeah.
Because most of these are, state parties.
Yeah.
So chances of the states not losing out so much, or
when Shereen used the term kingmaker, it really jolted the memory, right? Because we haven't used that term in, I think, the last 3 elections. But this one is definitely turning out to be
Go ahead,
different.
Shereen. Do you think states get a better look in?
No, I just want to bring up UP because that picture has changed. Latha, Prashant and Surabhi. India Alliance now in the lead, 41 for the India Alliance versus 37 for the N.d.i.a. So the picture for UP since in the last few minutes that we were talking with Dr. Bhalla and Mr. Garg, India Alliance now 41, the N.d.i.a. at 37, minus 27 seats there versus the 2019 delivery that had gone in favor of the BJP and of the N.d.i.a. So this is turning out to be completely and totally unexpected. Forget the polls suggesting anything. I mean, I don't even know if you didn't hear even the opposition talking. I mean, as I said, I heard a lot of healthy double digit, but I don't know if they meant 40 or even anything close to that. But let me just bring back Surjit Bhalla on this. Mr. Bhalla, the UP number. I mean, what do you make of this?
I think, look, first of all, this is a huge surprise, as you said. Whether you look at the exit polls, whether you look at the voting record, whatever you look at. And so one has to now, and I think a lot of pundits will try and examine as to what happened in UP. And as I mentioned earlier, what happened in Rajasthan, which is also, I don't know what the latest numbers there are. So these are the 2 big surprises in northern India. And this is where the political side, the dog whistling, etc., which a lot of people had commented on, that what are the gains to be made when you're already in a lead position to go ahead and, if you will, make further polarization. So I think that's a fantastic check and balance that will now emerge precisely on the political side again, not economic, on the political side, that I think the BJP overstepped its mandate, overstepped its rhetoric, and I think this is where people sat back and said this is not good, and have come in and provided a check. So, and it's interesting. These are the 2 northern states where, if you will, the Muslim presence is significant rather than small. I don't know what the numbers on Punjab are actually, which is the other area that I would find interesting in this battle.
Yeah.